everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you were new here, hi, my name is Monica. I like to post anti-MLM, life, and some true crime content here on this channel. So if any of that interests you, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I would love for you to stick around. In today's video, I am bringing you a very opinion-based type of a video, but it is anti-MLM related. So with that said, just as a disclaimer, this video is for entertainment purposes only and just my opinions. Also, on top of that as well, I will most likely be using certain clips from past reps that I have reacted to kind of prove certain points that I have. Some of them, I will just issue a trigger warning ahead of time. So I just wanted to say that. Because I'm getting married this week, I wanted to make an easier video, which is why I'm making this video rather than a well-researched one. Lately, I have seen an influx of comments that I'm just anti-MLM because I was unsuccessful or that I didn't work hard enough. However, oddly enough, every single time that I start to have a discussion with this person, including some facts to back up certain things that I say, or sources rather, these comments somehow just magically disappear. In addition to those types of comments, I've also received comments that say things of, you never experienced this before, or you've never been a part of this company or the landmark forum that I just did a video on. You've never been a part of this, you've never experienced it, so you can't speak on it. That's something else that I will be covering. In addition to those two topics, there's also some other anti-MLM related content that I want to chat about. So I will leave everything in the description box, the timestamps of what topic I'm talking about at what time, because some of this may be a repeat for a lot of you who have been around here for a really long time or a subscriber for a really long time. But before we get into it, I did just want to say that if you are one of the people that leaves these types of comments on my video, I just want to say thank you so much, because it helps with engagement on my video, which pushes the video into the algorithm on YouTube. So thank you so much. You think you're hurting my feelings, but you're not. You're actually helping me. Without further ado, let's get into the video. If this is your first video of mine, or if you haven't watched any of the videos where I talk about my experience in the MLM industry, I am an ex-Beachbody coach and ex-Mary Kay lady. Spoiler alert, I worked my ass off in Beachbody, and not only did I lose money, but I lost something even more precious, which is my time. I lost time with my family, my friends, along with putting a lot of my hobbies on hold or on the back burner. While I did have really great results with the Beachbody program and loved the workouts, I really truly love the workouts. I will never support it again, but at the time, I was a fan of it. Looking back now, I do realize that there was an unhealthy relationship with this kind of yo-yo dieting. So while I did have good results, I wouldn't do it again. I'll admit that with Mary Kay, I didn't work nearly as hard as I did with Beachbody, but I was very heavily, emphasis on the word heavily, encouraged to buy a starter pack that was well over $1,000, and shocker, I bought it. The worst part is that I bought it on a Mary Kay credit card. Since I didn't have the money at the time, my upline said, well, here's a solution. You can apply for the Mary Kay credit card and just pay it off when you get a chance once you start making sales. I was targeted because my upline knew of my student loan debt, along with my massive amount of credit card debt that amounted to $25,000 at the time, and I've since been able to pay that off without an MLM. Now that I've given you just a brief overview of my story, let's get into this whole not working hard enough nonsense that I hear a lot. This is a very common thing that we tend to see from a lot of these MLM reps. During the recruiting process, you'll be told how easy this is. You can work from your phone, along with having time and financial freedom.
To the people that say that this is a pyramid scheme, like, I'm sorry I can't hear you over the music that's playing in my caddy. Like, she's about to get a huge bonus. She's not only gonna get a bonus, but the girls that she's leading are getting bonuses, and they're on their way to financial freedom. And I'm just like, why wait? Like, say yes to you. Okay? Because if you don't, you're just gonna be a watcher. You're not gonna be a winner.
Within 2 months and a half, I just like was analyzing my life, and I'm like, I live in Mississippi, I'm miserable, I'm alone, like I don't like my job, and I said, screw it, I'm quitting. And I quit, guys, and I never looked back. And within 6 months, I had earned my free car with the company. Within the 2 years that we've been with the company, they've shipped us off to so many places for free. We've been to Bahamas multiple times, Vegas, Cancun, Grand Cayman, Nashville, I don't know, just like a bunch of places, right? And I don't say the luxuries to brag, but I say the luxuries because those things were things I always wanted in my life, and I never thought they were attainable. Like going on free trips.
We just couldn't afford it.
We couldn't afford it.
Time period, my business exploded. When I first started this business, I didn't even have this Instagram page that you're watching right now. You guys know my story if you follow me. I was $200,000 in debt. My husband was in the military. We were living, 1,000 miles away from everyone we knew and loved. I was $200,000 in defaulted debt. I was working 3 jobs. So I signed up, this big boom happened. And then from that 6 years, now I'm, a top coach. We are a 3-time top 5 team. I was the fastest in the company to achieve $1 million club.
Income claims and health claims go against the FTC. Just this year alone, many MLM companies have received warning letters from the FTC regarding this whole, and I know that this is old news at this point if you've been part of anti-MLM for a while. If you didn't know about this, these warning letters were in reference to the insane amount of health and income claims that the FTC was seeing, or that was being reported to the FTC in regards to COVID in particular. But anyway, as I was saying, during the recruiting process is when you're told that this is so easy, beautiful, luxury lifestyle, all of that. Your upline will make this opportunity look like it's the most amazing thing to come your way. A lot of times, the way that these uplines sell the opportunity instead of the products, which is where the focus should be, but I digress. The way that they sell the opportunity is with a story.
If you are broke, it's because you're allowing that to happen in your life. And if you are rich, it's because you are allowing that to happen in your life. Being broke and being rich are both choices, friends, and we can control what we allow to happen in our life and what we allow to speak into our life or be in our life. And that does include your financial situation too. Okay. Most of you don't know my story. A lot of my team knows my story, but before I found Sensi and before I married my husband, I was actually $30,000 in debt, personal debt. I was in debt. I come from a mindset of like, I can't afford that, or I'm broke, or I won't be able to ever do that. And I grew up like that. I grew up in that kind of mindset. I grew up in that kind of way where people said things like, oh, I can't have that, or oh, I can't afford that. And that used to be my first answer for a lot of things. And I would see things that I'd want, and I'd immediately tell myself, like, that's not for me, or I can't have that, or I'll never be able to afford that, or I can't stay on a vacation. And it's almost like a prejudice in a backwards way against people who change their life, and people who change their situation, and people who take care of things and people who pay off debt and people who can afford things. But I want you to know something, that people who are in that situation are there because they chose it. I had come to a point in my life where I decided that I wasn't going to settle for that anymore, and I wasn't going to allow that anymore. So I am now debt-free. I am no longer a slave to credit cards or people calling me or being afraid to answer the phone because it's a debt collector. I am no longer a slave to having to drive a certain type of car or live in a certain neighborhood or only be able to wear clothes from a certain store. I'm no longer a slave to that because I chose that I was not going to settle for that anymore.
There is a great article that I always leave linked in the description box that is from the FTC talking about an MLM versus a pyramid scheme. I highly recommend to read that if you have not read it already. When I was in Beachbody, I was told to sell my story all the time. Let me just tell you, posting 5 times a day on Facebook about my story, about my day, workouts, Shakeology, whatever, gets very repetitive. It's very hard to be able to come up with different ways of saying this nonstop. A good example of how dedicated you need to be to something like this, unless if you have a different upline, but the uplines that I had, if you weren't this dedicated, then they would message you. When I got into my second car accident, I did talk about that story here on this channel. Both of my car accidents were not my fault. But when I got into my second one, I was in the hospital. I texted my upline and my upline's upline to let them know that I will not be able to post. I will try my best, but most likely will not be able to post on Facebook because I had just gotten into a car accident. Yes, I felt the need to have to tell my uplines that I cannot post a picture of Shakeology of me like this because I got into a car accident. You'll talk about these reps, whether they're successful or unsuccessful, but always take certain things with a grain of salt because some of these successful reps are in fact losing money themselves. They're just trying to recruit you so that they can boost up their income. But they tend to talk about how hard their life was prior to joining the MLM. Usually there's something about being in debt, feeling really terrible with their health or their body, if it's some kind of a wellness MLM, struggling with something severe in their life. In some cases, this is something that requires professional help, not an MLM. I recently saw a string of comments on a much older video talking about how a rep was able to get through a very hard and severe time in her life with substance abuse because of the MLM. This is the perfect example to show that the MLM reps, it's not just selling product. It's not that. It's this MLM becomes your life, and these reps credit that MLM for so many things.
Beachbody, I feel like is generally different because I do feel like we're actually changing lives. I mean, my life was changed. I was suicidal when I found this. I don't know where I'd be. I don't even know if I'd be here if I hadn't found Beachbody. So, I am forever grateful to it.
Another story you might hear is a mom who's just trying to be able to stay home with her kids, someone looking for a sisterhood. There was one video that I reacted to many, many months ago about a Plexus rep who was basically going on and on about how these Plexus products were a miracle for her and a cure. While I have seen reps say that this isn't a get-rich-quick scheme or that you do have to work hard, it's not just working from your phone for a couple of hours a day, more times than not, that's not disclosed to you during the recruiting process. Hey guys, Editing and Monica here. At this point in the video, I do just want to add something else that, just like I said, while I have seen MLM reps talk about how this isn't a get-rich-quick scheme, in my opinion, I do think that they only say that it's not a get-rich-quick scheme when it fits their narrative. However, if you speak out against multi-level marketing, whether you're an ex-rep or if you're an advocate for anti-MLM, that's when uplines will say that you're either a hater or that you didn't work hard enough. Once you sign that dotted line to become a rep, because I don't care what they call these reps in their companies, whether it be a coach, a consultant, an influencer, an entrepreneur, I don't care what they call them. At the end of the day, you are a multi-level marketing representative, which is in turn considered an independent contractor for a company. But as I said, once you sign that dotted line, a lot of things, you'll see how a lot of things were not disclosed to you, or that a lot of things will change. You're added to, at least at the time of me being in Beachbody, I don't know if they still, well, Beachbody and Mary Kay, I don't know if they still do this because I know that it's been a couple of years, maybe they use other apps, whatever. But when I was in Beachbody, you were added as soon as you became a Beachbody coach, which is not that hard. Being a Beachbody coach, you don't need any kind of background in training or nutrition or anything like that. You just have to be 18 years old, have some kind of an ID, and that's that. That's how you're able to sign up as a Beachbody coach. But you're added to all of these groups and group chats for your team, along with your uplines team, your uplines team, etc. I think you guys get the point. In those groups, you get training, which isn't really training. It's just some toxic positivity that's supposed to inspire you. And let's not forget the personal development that is pushed every single day, because that's the only way that you'll be successful in an MLM company. As you can tell, I'm kind of biased when it comes to personal development. I do think there is a time and place for it. I personally don't do it. I don't believe in it, but I do realize and acknowledge the fact that there are people who get a lot out of personal development. Me, I don't. The reason why I bring up personal development is because one of our uplines told us that if we weren't succeeding as an MLM rep or your biz, it's because you weren't reading enough personal development, which is a crock of shit. It has nothing to do with the fact that there's no actual training involved, no tools are given to you on how to truly succeed in the company. If you're ever looking for training videos, I highly recommend watching Alonda over at the Recovering Humbot, because she does have a background in creating training programs and things of that nature. So she's able to analyze it from, I guess you could say, an expert's point of view. There is a reason why you constantly hear about this 99.6% of people in MLMs making little to no money. It's because while we know the difference between a legal MLM and a pyramid scheme, even though some people call MLM companies a product-based pyramid scheme, allegedly, when the focus is only on recruitment, that's walking a fine line of a pyramid scheme.
For a total of 10,200 in team volume, you guys. This is just if you recruit one a week. This is just if this person recruits one a week. This is what happens. Now imagine you recruit 3 a week or 5 a week. You guys, this right here is why follow-up is so critical. This right here is why bringing people in and showing them how you did it is critical. It's all in the duplication, okay? This is why people like little old me and little old Julie and little old everybody, the people that use the system, far outrun than the person who can sell their face off and doesn't recruit a single person.
It's also a little funny that because I'm an actual small business owner of something that was built from the ground up, I'm in our business right now, and I work my ass off. The family works, we work our asses off. But I see way more reward, both financially and just, I guess you could say emotionally as well, because I do feel like this is something that is our own thing. I'm able to do what I want, price things out that I want, etc., etc. But I do see more reward from being an actual small business owner, more than I ever saw in being in the multi-level marketing industry. And as I said, not to mention, I have control over my business. I could do whatever I want with it. So while I've gotten plenty of comments and have been told that I just didn't work hard enough, that is not the case. To any ex-reps watching this, it's not your fault if you were working countless hours and breaking your back over your biz. It's the business model of multi-level marketing that is built to make money off of the people that are losing money at the bottom of the alleged pyramid. If these reps who say this to me only knew just how much time and money that I invested into the MLM, they would understand exactly why I'm anti-MLM. Although I do think some of these higher ranking reps are knowingly and willingly scamming people, I do believe the majority of MLM reps are victims. Which brings me to my next topic. While everyone is entitled to their own opinion on what they, I guess you could say, classify as a victim, there is a definition. Well, there's a few definitions if you look it up on Google, one of which is a person who is tricked or duped. There are men and women that have lost thousands of dollars to MLM companies. Just watch the Vice documentary on LuLaRoe. That is the perfect example of people, women, losing so much money. Along with that, there are people who are so psychologically damaged and have to go through therapy for what they experience in these MLM companies. I know that that sounds very extreme, but I have met those people who have told me they had to go through therapy for what they experienced because of the indoctrination. People get indoctrinated to these MLMs all the time, whether you want to admit it or not. I know that people get indoctrinated into a plethora of things, not just MLMs, but in this video we're talking about just MLMs. So to any reps who are going to comment, oh, well, what about all of these other issues that you haven't talked about in this video? We're talking about just MLMs in this video. I get that we're all adults and we do have to be responsible for our actions. I get that. And we should be doing more research before we just willy-nilly join something like an MLM, for example. But the issue is that there's always a reason why these MLM reps join the companies. The ones who are successful, they talk about their vulnerability to make them seem more relatable to their audiences or their future downline. They talk about how they were truly struggling, and it makes it seem as though everyone's going to have the same success as this upline or this beautiful blonde bombshell on social media showing her luxury lifestyle of Beachbody and everything of that nature. I'm sure a lot of you who know Beachbody know a number of people, the blonde bombshells that I'm talking about, because their upline tells them that they will mentor and train them. But there's no such thing. There's no training involved. When you're targeted in a vulnerable headspace, you may think of the MLM as a last resort. And maybe, just maybe, I'll be making that 6 figures that my upline is making. This behavior is not only unethical, but also predatory, which is why I'm so against multi-level marketing. With all of that being said, I wanted to bring up a comment that I got from one of my subscribers recently. I'm not going to pop it up on the screen or anything like that, but this brings me to my next topic of why I'm here to stay. One of you had commented on a previous video of mine saying, please don't leave anti-MLM because of other things that are happening. And I just want you to know that I am here to stay. I have gotten a ton of DMs from a lot of you. And I'm just gonna say this, my channel started on accident. Back in September of 2019 was when I made my first video. But I had taken almost 2 years off from YouTube because it just wasn't my passion anymore. And somehow I came across anti-MLM content. I decided that I was going to make one really and cringy video telling my story. That was going to be my only video, just so that I could add another video into the mix, into the conversation that is anti-MLM. Then I was encouraged to make more videos, and once I started researching what being anti-MLM truly is, I saw just how bad these MLM companies are. I dug into the underbelly that is multi-level marketing, finding out how much government involvement, for example, Amway has, along with how so many MLM companies have been shut down or forced to restructure for being deemed a pyramid scheme, along with being introduced to Stephen Hassan's bite model and other important figures such as Robert Fitzpatrick and John Taylor. It truly, once I started doing that research, it truly lit a fire in me. That was the moment when I really truly decided that I wanted to be an advocate. I wanted to be part of the conversation, just to be able to, if the goal of my channel was to help at least one person either get out of an MLM or just to help them think a little bit more critically, along with researching a company before they just join one. The research and information that I was finding, along with still currently finding all the time, solidified my decision even more. Not only that, but all of you who have subscribed or just watched my videos and never subscribed have given me a voice that I never truly had before. I felt and still feel the very empowerment that I thought I would have in an MLM company, but we all know that the empowerment and women empowerment in an MLM company is all just a facade. I may not know or talk to all of you. You might not slip into my DMs. You might not even ever comment on a video or anything of that nature. But I just want you to know that I have a great love for each and every single one of you. So basically what I'm trying to say is that I'm not going anywhere. I'm an advocate for this horrendous business model and the victims of these companies. But now that I've gotten all mushy-gushy with all of you, let's move on to the next topic. I have gotten plenty of comments from MLM reps saying that I have no idea what I'm talking about and that what I talked about in my video is misinformation. Of course, sometimes they'll even add that I'm a hater because I failed or that I didn't work hard enough, which again, it was the point of this video. When I ask what the misinformation is, they almost never respond. And when they do respond, they don't clarify anything. It's just mind-boggling to me, because if there is some kind of misinformation in my video, you need to let me know if you're an active rep. Don't tiptoe around the conversation after you see that I replied. I try to reply to a lot of my comments, so I think some of these people, they don't think I'll see the comment, and then they're kind of scrambling to figure out, how do I respond to this person now? But they almost never clarify anything. As I've said so many times, my sources are always linked in the description box, and a lot of my information, when I do these deep dives, the information comes straight from the company's website. Straight from the website. Imagine straight from the website in all capital letters. These comments aren't the comments that annoy me, because I know most, if not all, of these reps are indoctrinated into the alleged commercial cult. The comments that do annoy me are the ones like I got the other day, which I will get into in a minute, but I've gotten comments like this in the past before. And the comment was along the lines of, you can't speak on this topic or comment, analyze, whatever, because you've never been a part of this. You're just a hater. You're just someone who is trying to bring down good things, and this video is so negative. Which is kind of funny, because how many people in the anti-MLM sphere have never been in an MLM company before, but they still create very good and very well-researched content? To some of these people, I really just want to say, welcome to the internet, where we have an abundance of information at our literal fingertips. I do have to preface with this comment I'll be going over. This person has since deleted their comments after a little back and forth, and me ending it with, thanks for the engagement on my video. It boosts my video in the algorithm. Of course, they deleted it because they didn't want a negative video in their eyes to be shown on YouTube. Hey guys, Editing Monica here. In addition to this original comment that I got, this particular person came back 2 days later after he had deleted his comments, came back to my video 2 days later and wrote an entire, I would say it was the length of a research paper type of a comment on the very same video. Once I responded to every single point, which was it took me a very long time, but once I responded to every single point in that comment, the person again deleted their comment. So to that person, please do not come back to my channel and constantly do this, because you are wasting your time and my time. If you have something to say, say it and leave it under the video. Anyway, I want to read parts of their comments so that we can kind of dissect it, so that I can explain my thoughts on this topic of not being allowed to speak on a topic, have an opinion, comment, or whatever, if it's something that I've never been affiliated with. This was on my Landmark Forum video. I understand that there's going to be a lot of both sides of the argument, because I have seen testimonials where people had a great experience with Landmark. Although if you go to that comment section, there's a lot of comments talking about their experience, talking about the creepiness, the eeriness of this forum. But this person said, why on earth would you be producing content on something you have no direct experience of? From my point of view, you are speaking of things you actually know nothing about. I don't know anything about it besides the research that I have done on the company. I find the quest to produce content and use others as content unattractive. Before he changed this comment, there was a lot of ugly, sad, self-serving, all of this other kind of stuff, but he changed it to sound a little more professional. These content YouTube machines are about building brands and audiences and using famous names and brands in service of building YouTube channel followers and promote individuals as influencers. First and foremost, if you've been here for a while, you know that I'm not a huge fan of the term influencer. I'm not. I feel as though the word has kind of become a little tainted. When I create content, I have to create content on something that I am passionate about. I cannot force myself to make a video on something that just I don't feel like doing. I've had a ton of people ask me to look into certain companies. When I do, I'm not feeling it. So I won't make the video until I feel like I'm in a headspace where I can make a video on it, because I never want to come across as I'm bored or that I don't want to make this video, because that's just going to be a terrible video. So of course I'm going to make videos that I'm liking, and so that I can notify my audience of certain unethical businesses and business models. So building an audience, yes, that comes with being on YouTube. Welcome to YouTube. People with no qualifications other than they are willing to casually spout opinions on anything. This is important to go over because, first of all, people with no qualifications. Look at these MLM companies. Look at Beachbody. You are not required to have any kind of certificate, licensing, nothing. You sign up, you pay for your starter kit, and you're considered a coach. Casually spouting opinions on something. Funny, because this person was spouting their opinion on my video. A little contradictory. Along with that, if you watch that video, the person who created EST, which has become Landmark, has no qualifications. He is self-taught. He has no qualifications for what his company has become. So that's funny and a little hypocritical. The part of this comment that made me laugh was, I did the forum when I was 18, and the thing I most responded to at that time and age was that there was not a single word about positivity, which would have sent me running. It is weird to hear you talking at length about toxic blah, 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 when it is 100% unrelated to the actual experience of the forum. I would like to know when he was 18 years old, because go on YouTube, look at testimonials of Landmark, and you'll see exactly what I was talking about. The toxic blah, 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 blah. It's called toxic positivity. Look into it, research it, and then come back and have a comment on why I'm talking about toxic positivity. The one thing that bothers me is, while I have furthered my education and I do have an MBA, I don't like to talk about it all that often, because I don't want to come across as I'm better than anyone watching this because I went to school, because I paid a lot of money to get a piece of paper that says I went on to not just get my bachelor's but my master's degree as well. Plus, there are so many just talented and skilled people out there who never went to college. So I never like to throw that into anything. I try not to talk about it because I don't want to come off as I'm bragging. Am I very proud of myself for doing it? Yes, I am. But I never, ever, ever want to come across as I'm better than anybody else because I have that piece of paper. With that being said, anytime that I've gotten a comment that says, what makes you any kind of expert to speak on business? Well, I do have an MBA, but at the same time, you don't have to have a college education to be able to speak on anything business related. You really truly don't. When it comes to these MLM companies, for example, it doesn't take rocket science or a degree to know that the business model is flawed. However, going back to this comment, I assert that your presentation would be rejected by any considerate school or institution and is just a hit piece by someone upset by something and looking to keep proving that there are threats, cons out there to be wary of. Because of your bias, you have no interest in the millions of people who had a great experience with this particular thing. Cynicism and distrust is your thing. Well, of course I'm going to be cynical about a flawed business model, or in my opinion, I think that Landmark is somewhat of a scam, if not an actual scam. You are out to spread caution, yes? And in my opinion, it makes your research of no value to anyone other than the 100 anonymous people who may come and post here and agree with you. It's not just to post a video for the people that will agree with me. This video was made for the people who were victims of this, in my opinion, an alleged scam. And it's also for the people who are looking into this so that they can see the other side. If someone is pitching this quote unquote opportunity to them, or this amazing thing that they went to and spent so much money on, at least this way, they aren't looking at it from only one perspective. This can help them maybe even research a little bit more into the company and make a decision based off of what their friends and family are saying and based off of my video. If they still decide to go to the landmark forum, for example, that's on them and that's fine. But I'm still going to post these videos in order to help people decide and to think critically. So that's something that I just wanted to go over it, because when people say you can't speak on a topic because you were never there, you never experienced it, does this person know that there are genres on YouTube, one of which is a commentary genre? There are a number of YouTube channels that talk about their opinions on certain things. It can be anything that's minuscule to something that is very severe. So that's why, to that person, welcome to YouTube, welcome to the internet. If I ever make videos, my sources are linked in the description box. Unless if I say allegedly or in my opinion, then take it with a grain of salt. Sometimes I do have to say allegedly because I don't want to get in trouble, but a lot of people that come to my videos, they tell me that they are doing their due diligence. They are researching the company that people want them to sign up for. So with that said, just because you were never part of something, or just because you weren't affiliated with something like Landmark, with something like a particular MLM company, it does not mean that you can't research, analyze the company, and provide your own commentary or opinion. You take what you will from my videos. You form your own opinion. If your opinion differs than mine, great, we can have a discussion. But don't sit there and try to insult people. Don't tell people that they can't speak on a topic, because with that flawed logic, I'm sorry, but there would not be that much information out there in the world. Because if you want to take a look at MLM companies, there are people who don't speak out, who don't tell their story because they're embarrassed and they're afraid to. So it is the duty of everyone else who either, one, has been in an MLM and they do have the experience, or two, the people who have never been in an MLM and they do the proper research. So with all that being said, you let me know what you think in the comment section below. I know that this video was kind of all over the place, and I know that it was very opinion based as well, but I'm a little scatterbrained for the wedding on Saturday. So thank you so much for watching. If you have watched up to here, like I said, let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below, and I will see you guys next time. This is Monica reporting to you live from a highway. Bye.